Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our second daily devotional. Hopefully you joined us yesterday. For Jess, if you didn't, I really recommend checking out Jess's video from yesterday. She did a really good job at giving us a bit of an overview of where we're starting and why we're doing it. So yeah, I'd really recommend that you watch hers, but stay with me live because I'd love for that. So yeah, we're working through a book in the Bible, and like Jess said yesterday, it's not a separate book, it's almost like a chapter, but we call it a book when we read it in the Bible because it was written by a different human author, and this book is called Mark because it was written by a guy called Mark. Very straightforward. I thought I'd actually show you my Bible this morning. Here it is. It's called a journaling Bible just because it's got these like gaps on the side which let me write kind of notes that I think are relevant or that interest me about the bit that I'm reading. But I thought I'd show you it in case you thought that all Bibles were kind of brown and leather with like that gold trim on the edge, because they're not. They can be yellow, or I've got one, I don't think it's nearby, one with a flower on the front, because that makes me happy and I like Bibles that are pretty because I like pretty things. So yeah, don't think that they're all brown and leather because you can find one that's for you. Also, if you don't like reading books, or you don't have access to go and buy a book right now, then why not check out the Bible app? If you've got a smartphone, you can just stick in the App Store Bible and up will pop a selection of Bibles. I use one called the YouVersion Bible, which was when I just checked on the App Store, the first one that came up, and it's got like a brown logo that says Holy Bible on it, and it's really good. Morning, Nick and Jess, nice to see you. But yeah, let's get started with where we are in Mark. So Jess left us at the end of verse 8, which if you do have a real paper Bible and you're not used to finding bits, you need to look for the big number 1 because we're in chapter 1 of Mark, and then go through and find all the little numbers, and we're looking for little number 9 because we're starting in verse 9 and we're going to be going until verse 13. So it's quite a small chunk today. In my Bible it's headed the baptism and testing of Jesus. In other Bibles it might be headed differently or not at all, but it's quite useful for breaking down chunks of the Bible if there are headings. So let's get into it. At that time Jesus came from Nazareth in Galilee and was baptized by John in the Jordan. Just as Jesus was coming up out of the water, he saw heaven being torn open and the Spirit descending on him like a dove. And a voice came from heaven, "You are my Son, whom I love. With you I am well pleased." At once the Spirit sent him out into the wilderness, and he was in the wilderness for 40 days, being tempted by Satan. He was with the wild animals, and angels attended him. So like I said, a short passage, but plenty in there for us to kind of understand and dig into. Firstly, the first verse talks about the fact that Jesus came to Galilee from Nazareth, so Nazareth is just where he's born, and Galilee is where John the Baptist was. You remember him from yesterday. He was wearing weird clothes and eating weird food and baptising people, and Jesus comes to John to be baptised. Now baptism, you've probably got some vague idea about what baptism looks like. In some churches they do it with babies and they sprinkle water on their head when they're really, really young. Oh, hello morning voice. You're the first people I've spoken to this morning. Everyone else in my family is asleep. But in other churches they do it to adults or older teenagers where they actually put them fully under the water. And you've probably learnt about that in school or seen it. It's nothing super weird, but it is something special. I was going to say it's nothing special, but it is really special. Basically in churches we do it to signify that we've made a change inside, that we've made a decision to follow Jesus. Now it's not just a Christian thing to do, which is why John the Baptist was doing it, because of course he wasn't a Christian because he hadn't met Jesus yet. He was baptising people to kind of signify that they were being washed and purified and cleaned. Now that's not why Jesus wanted to be baptised, because of course Jesus is God and is perfect. But he wanted to be baptised so that he was on a level playing field with the rest of us. He wanted to show that he was equal to us. He was a human just like us. So he got down, he got baptised so that he could be united with us, who would all eventually be baptised with him. Then we go on, and as he comes out of the water, this dove comes from heaven. And you might remember doves from stories like Noah and the Ark, where they send out a dove. A dove is often a symbol of new beginnings. And so the dove coming down from heaven is a symbol of a new beginning. Something is about to happen. Something exciting is about to happen. And this is right at the beginning of Jesus's adult life, and really exciting stuff happens. Spoiler alert, really exciting stuff is going to happen. And then this voice, and I love what the voice says. The voice says, "You are my son, whom I love. With you I am well pleased." Now, ignoring the fact that most of us think that God has this understanding of time that is all wibbly wobbly, a little bit like Doctor Who. At this point, Jesus hasn't really done anything, has he? He's been born, he's grown up, he's an adult now, but he's not done anything impressive. He's not done any of those Jesus-y things that we're used to him doing. And God says to him, "You are my son, and I love you, and I'm well pleased with you." And I think that we can take that for ourselves as well. Jesus loves us because if we know him, if we believe in him, if we trust in him, then we're adopted into his family and we are his children, and he loves us like I love my children. If any of you guys have children, you love your children. You just love them, don't you? Regardless of what they do or what they achieve, you love them for who they are. And that's what God is saying to his son Jesus here, and it's what he's saying to us too. He loves you because you are his child. It's that unconditional kind of love. And he's pleased with you. You don't have to do amazing things for God to be like, "I am so proud of you." He is proud of you and he is pleased with you because you are his kid. How cool is that? It's really cool, isn't it? And then this chunk just finishes with Jesus going out into the wilderness. And it says he's there for 40 days. Sometimes 40 in the Bible is just a number. It's not an exact... he might not have been there for exactly 40 days. Sometimes in the Bible, it's a literary tool to kind of talk about a long time. But he goes out into the desert and he's tempted by Satan. And in other books of the Bible, we read about the different kinds of temptation he has and how he overcomes them. But Mark doesn't feel the need to share that with us. But I think it's important for us to know that Jesus was tempted and he was tested and stuff was tough for Jesus, because sometimes we think, oh, well, it was easy for him because he's God. But it wasn't always easy for him. He was tempted just like us. And so just like he was baptised to unite himself with us, to make himself level with us, he was also tempted just like we are. And he knows how to overcome it, so he can help us with that, which is cool. But yeah, I think that'll do for today. Tune in tomorrow. I think you've got Nick tomorrow at 7:30. Hopefully she won't have morning voice, but she's got older children. They don't get up either. But yeah, it'd be really cool for you to join us. If you've got any questions, do feel free to message us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, however you're watching this. We'd love to answer them. We'd love to know what it is that you want to know about the Bible, about Jesus, about Christianity. Yeah, we really would love to answer those. But anyway, for this morning,